Recording in progress.
We're live, we're ready. We call the February 10th meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Mendocino Unified School District to order. Would you call the roll, please?
Student Trustee Oatney. Trustee Morton.
Here.
Trustee Griffin.
Here.
Trustee Ohm.
Here.
Trustee Floyd.
Here.
Trustee Schaefer.
Present. Okay, let's see here. We have one item to report out of closed session, and that is that we approved the stipulated expulsion order. What am I supposed to read here? For student number one. And the vote was 4-1. I was the dissenting vote on that for transparency. That's the only item to report out of closed session. We're going into closed session again after our open session here to begin our evaluation of the superintendent. So the next item is 4.3, approval of the agenda. We have to remove item 5.3, I think. 5.5B.
Oh, it's not listed as 5.5B, so should just eliminate
So we should
5.5.
just take 5.5.
It's the January.
Right, but
So
it
yeah,
isn't
just need to
split.
say the January. We did receive the December.
Okay, we're going to amend the consent agenda to exclude January 2026 because it wasn't ready. So is there a motion to approve the agenda with that change?
I so move.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by Emily. Aaron, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Morton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Yes.
Trustee Floyd.
Aye.
Trustee Ohm.
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer.
Yes. All right, so our next item is approving the consent agenda as amended. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Aaron, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Morton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Yes.
Trustee Ohm.
Yes.
Trustee Floyd.
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer.
Yes. All right. We are now up to reports, and our student trustee is not here. Is he expected back later?
He's going to come back. He should be here about 5:45.
Okay, so we'll schedule him to
Improv practice.
come in after, when he comes back. Tobin, you're up as our principal of the month.
Let's pass these down the line for you guys. One for Aaron. All right, there's a lot of information here, but think of this more as an introduction because you'll be hearing more once you'll see our mid-cycle WASC report. You'll hear the feedback from the visiting committee, who is Mark Beebe, who used to be superintendent of Willits. So you'll be able to dig into this more deeply. But what I wanted to share this evening were just some of the things that staff and site council, which is students and parents, that they came up with in terms of areas for improvement, for focus, during the second half of this WASC cycle, the next 2.5 years, basically. That's what we're going to look at. There are 3 goals. You can go to the next slide. Theoretically, there we are. First goal is to strengthen interventions, and that's academic, behavioral, social, emotional interventions to support all students, cultivate academic rigor and excellence, and increase relevance in college and career readiness. So each of these is broken into those 3 areas that you see in front of you. Starting off, next slide, I just wanted to mention just a partial list of many of the successes and celebrations that we had over the last 3 years, since 2022, 3.5 years. So you can see in those 3 goals, we had 16 targets and we met 10 of them since 2022. We've increased CTE completers, we've increased our dual enrollment and been recognized by the state for excellence. Our college and career indicator, the CCI, is increasing. We're seeing improved student mental health. We've added various counseling and health services from the community. We focused a lot on professional development for the special education department, which is one of the things that the visiting committee talked to us about in 2022. We've done a lot of that. We continue to have state test scores that are consistently some of the top in the county. We have a new facility. That's not a small thing, but it's one bullet point on that list. We were in portables when we did this in 2022. We have implemented a patient care pathway through Mendocino College. We have onboarded students and are well on our way to using the state college and career portal for accessing everything from financial. Chairs down, that happens. They get stacked too high. There should be 4 stacks instead of 2. That's a state and college career portal that does everything from financial aid to college applications, but also a lot of the things we do in our freshman seminar, which things like interest surveys and job exploration, things like that. So that is a statewide initiative, and we're well on our way on that. We implemented the ethnic studies requirement. We've decreased suspension referrals and improved on many of the school climate indicators. So lots of successes to celebrate, but some of the things we want to focus on under Goal 1, which is support for students. We actually have seen some improvement in substance use on campus at school here, but you can see we are still not at the point. We have 85% no substance use at school. The state average is in the mid 90%, so we haven't hit the state average there. And so it's still an issue, even though it has improved. So that is something that came up a lot with parents and students. Attendance and chronic absenteeism, as you know, continues to be an issue with numbers above 20%. And the staff also wants to evaluate the master schedule. I will entertain that as one of the things that the staff wanted to look at. Our schedule does meet a lot of needs. The block schedule allows us to have part-time workers. Our 7-period schedule allows us to get a lot of students through the CTE and dual enrollment programs. There's a lot of benefits to it. So I look forward to seeing what other options are out there that can make our all these programs work even better for us. So that is a challenging one. The staff chose challenging ones, like grading is a challenging one. But so we are going to also, under goal number 2, continue to look at academic rigor and expectations. There's all sorts of different data points we have around this. We can see that academic motivation lags, it's improved, but it lags the state average, whereas there are high expectations. We also hear from students that there is a high value to school, but also a high or moderate boredom level, which often means that the level of the class is not necessarily matched to the level of the student. So it's like selective boredom, like topical boredom, not like overall not interested in school kind of boredom. So looking at instructional strategies, looking at what are our expectations for rigor and how do we match that and make sure that it is matched to where our students are, so we're not going too far and they lose interest because of that, or that we're going and being challenging enough so they don't lose interest because of that. So, so that is something that is ongoing. And then grading, just kind of calibrating our system and making sure that our grading system is supporting what we are trying to accomplish here and not working against it. And it's been maybe 8 years since we started that grading system. So if nothing else, it's time to like reaffirm and go over our philosophy with newer staff or staff that maybe has forgotten about why we did what we did. So
Tobin, what does the orange
Yeah.
line represent on that last
Oh, that's
slide?
the state average.
The state
It's like
average,
the
thank you.
21 to 23
Not our
state
personal
average.
goals, but the state average.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so yeah, those are areas where yeah, and a lot of the like mental health indicators were actually like have coming out of 2021, we've pushed above the state average even. So school climate areas, a lot of them we've pushed above the state average, and there's just a couple areas like academic motivation, I think, is right at the state average, things like that. When we get the report, it'll be linked to all the data, and so you guys can data out all you want once you get
Fantastic.
there. Yeah. Related to that, though, is like meaningfulness. So this is just a survey we sent to our students. We'd like more than 46% of our students to think they're having a meaningful day at school. So that is something that we will look at. I mean, I think we have all sorts of really interesting programs, but what is it that makes it seem meaningful? You know, again, is this instructional strategies? What is it? Looking at PSP and how we can, that's our advisory period, and how can we even get even more out of that and make that almost more of a class where real specific things can happen. For example, we have a new initiative looking at AI readiness and fluency and teaching that to our students. I discussed that, I think, a couple months ago. How can we leverage that? And lastly, even though I'm going to say it last, this was the top, what we did, we prioritized by voting on, so we had like these big lists that were much longer than these, and site council and the staff all basically voted. It said like vote for 5 or whatever the number was, right? And so this was the top vote getter. This is alternative education, not AE week, but alternative education in terms of what do we do now that we do not have a continuation school and we do not have an independent study program, but we still have all those students that need to be able to access something different to make it through high school. We're lucky to have the community school, which is a school within a school, but that's very different from a program for a student who has anxiety to the point where they cannot show up to school. How do we reach that student? How do we provide a place for that student to be able to be successful? And, you know, in talking with Jason about this, it's really hard to say exactly what that program looks like, but we need the flexibility to deal with everyone from the kid that just does not fit into school and is going to drop out unless we can pull them in somehow, to the kid that really wants to be here but just can't for some reason. So we need a space where we can, and a person where we can address these varied needs. And I think it needs to be flexible because these needs change. Students come and go. Their needs change. Sometimes they're on it. Sometimes they you know, drop off, and all of a sudden they need a different kind of support, whether that's doing online classes or having it be whenever they walk in the door, they're able to get credit. Right now they walk in, they do traditional classes. Maybe they get some credit the day they're here. Maybe it was just the introduction to the essay that they're never going to write because they're not here the next 2 weeks, you know? So they're not getting credit when they're here, which is like if the kid's in a continuation school is what they would be doing. So I don't think it's a continuation school that we're necessarily looking at, but it's some way to use the resources we have to try to, you know, build that bigger life draft so that all our students have a viable pathway. So one of the items on the agenda, like that 200 unit thing, I can speak to that a little bit when you get to it, just as to why that's important for us to have that, because not all students are able to hit that 265 for lots of different reasons. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to, you know, working with Jason and seeing what we can do to use our resources to make that happen, because it, you know, obviously it impacts those students, 5 to 8 students, that number always changes, but it impacts the rest of the staff as well, because all of a sudden the office is, you know, trying to get a kid to do a little bit of work that is, you know, refusing to go into class, or the resource specialist is, having to do the same kind of thing. Or the counselor is basically running an independent study program that we don't have, So it doesn't just impact those students, but it impacts everyone that's trying to serve them, even though we don't, it's not necessarily in their job. So, all right. Any questions?
This is part of our WASC midterm response. Have they already appointed a team to work with us? It's not like the old days.
Okay. They have a hard time getting people. So small schools, it's usually one person. So Mr. Beebe was the lead in 2022. So generally what they'll do is they'll ask the chair of the visiting committee to come back and do it. So I even did a big school. I did Vacaville High School. I think I was solo on that one. And I did Ferndale. So I've done some, I'm going to do Biggs High School. Yeah, they're going down. It's just like one person doing it. So it's, so they've tried to streamline it, which I think is good. What's important is really that process that the school is going through and just someone making sure it's happening. But yeah, they don't have the big teams for the mid-cycles anymore. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
Anybody else have questions for Tobin? All right. Move on to Jason.
I think I'll just start off with the board workshop that we had. Somebody's going to report on it here. I'll steal your thunder a little bit, but I thought it was very well done. Thanks to Kim for setting up the format and getting all the questions ready. But what we did is we had a board workshop, but we held it at a staff meeting. So the board did their business first, and then we divided up into 5 different groups, and a board member went to each group full of staff members, and then we had about 10 minutes to answer questions and ask questions and just hear from each teacher and each board member about various things about the school. And I thought in talking with some staff afterwards, they thought it was great, and they want to do that again with the board. So I thought that was it was a success, and we're coming back to the high school to do something similar on March 11th at our next board workshop. Let's see. Tobin called 2 meetings of the Student Attendance Review Board. So this is the acronym is SARB, and if students are having a hard time getting to school, we have a variety of things that we do. We reach out to them. We have our counseling staff, our counselor say, hey, how can we help you get to school? What do you need from us? Is it transportation? So there's a lot of outreach before this meeting happens, but we had 2 of them at the high school, and I thought they were very positive. Parents came and were very receptive to hearing some of our ideas and why it's important to come to school. So hopefully some positive things will come out of that, but I was really glad that we're starting down that road and having more SARD meetings.
So is there, we've gone from a couple years of 100% graduation to now in the high 90s. Is there a reason why we're not reaching the same kids that potentially in prior years have been recaptured, or what do you?
I think we still do a good job of that. I just think it's probably one student that.
Yeah, no, our cohort is so small.
So I don't know what those circumstances were, but I can promise you that our staff is doing everything we can to get them to school and to get them through. We have the staff to do it, and I know we do it, but sometimes it just doesn't work. There was a concert held on January 29th at the K-8 school as our first music program, not first, but our music program. We had a concert, and parents packed the gym. It was a K-5 program, so every classroom got up there and they sang songs, and they were all originally written songs by the classes, so that was it was great. I haven't felt that kind of energy in that gym in many years, and so thank you to Angie Hyman for putting it together, and Kim and her staff for supporting that program. And then class like this one. Oh, Kim would have said this if she was up here, but the Chinese New Year parade is this Thursday at 10:45 through the streets of Mendocino and ending at the temple. So put that on your calendars.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Any questions for Jason? Bargaining units, is Josh here online or something?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, and no one for SEMAS either?
I don't see anyone for
All right. Board trustee reports, Mark?
I just wanted to second that I really appreciated the board workshop, and I say more, and it was too short.
Speaking of energy in the K8 gym, tomorrow the girls' A team has their playoffs. We play at 5 p.m. in the semifinals. We were the second-ranked team in the league. And then if we win, we'll play in the final at 6 p.m. So there's a lot of energy in that gym when the basketball games are happening. Kim can attest to that, mostly from me. But, we do what we can. And another plug for something going on this week, the improv show is Wednesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. down at Matheson Performing Arts Center. So I encourage folks to check that out as well. That's all I've got.
Thanks.
Nothing for me.
Nothing from me.
I'll pass as well. Still too early to go to parent community comments, so we'll go to 8.1, report on construction in Phase 3.
So I don't have too much to report on the water projects and the solar projects. Things are moving along.
Have they broken ground over here on the solar?
I don't think so.
They've drilled holes.
They've
They've
yeah,
drilled
they've-
holes,
So yes,
but they're not- but
they have
they're-
broken all ground.
Yeah. So, I mean, Wind Spirit and Mia could provide more updates there, but I think what we really mainly wanted to talk about is the Phase 3 projects that we have going on. So it's about time, it's at that time of year where we need to decide if we would like to extend the construction position for another year. And our committee would like to recommend that we extend it for another year. It's going well. He's getting a lot done. We're in the wood shop now. He's replaced the hood in the wood shop, and he's going to patch the holes there. All the windows are replaced, interior doors are replaced, and he's also working on the railing up to the PAC. And now he's just started the window replacement, or windowsill and window replacement at the on the band room. So that's one thing we would like to talk about and recommend. The other one is we had talked in the past about working with the fire department to possibly burn the portable that's falling apart and dilapidated and an eyesore. And
The one here at the K8 campus?
No, this one here.
K-12 campus.
Yeah, right about down there by the tennis courts.
Yeah.
And after talking a bit further, with Tobin on this, he brought up that burning that building right near our garden is probably not a good idea, and I agree. And plus, it would probably cost just as much money to then take it out after they burn it. So I think we should, once we determine a long-term storage solution, get rid of that building, knock it over. And speaking of knock over, I think it's we need to talk pretty seriously about what we're going to do with the MCN building, because it does need a roof, it does need siding on one entire side, if not more, and a paint job, as we know. I'm sure there's a lot of rot around windows. I had planned for that building to be long-term dry storage, which we are in desperate need of, but I think we might want to knock it over. And I don't know if we can, because it might be a historical building.
No, I think we passed that, but on the original high school plan of 5 or 6 years ago, it was going to turn into parking.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think we ran out of money, right?
yeah, we didn't. That was one of the first things to go.
Yeah.
But I think that you should come back with a plan to us to talk about.
Sure.
But I think there's still some kind of computer technology that is there that can't, you can't just take the building down.
Right. So Matthew was working with our E-rate consultant to
to see if we can get some bids to possibly move that to the band room. And we would have E-rate funding to cover all of that expense, or hopefully. But we have about, I think, $145,000 that we need to spend over the next 5 years. And that could be a good use of those funds,
And
So-
MCN is going to be out March 1st?
supposedly.
Up, yeah, depending on whether they get
Right.
everything moved.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will have to have a storage solution though, because we need storage. Whether that's a container or some other creative idea, we need to think about that. But I'll put it on the agenda in the future.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that the Facilities Committee might want to weigh in on before you bring it back to
Well,
us.
we discussed it, Michael.
They have, yeah.
I am,
They have.
it is of my opinion that we should demolish that building.
Mhm.
We have a lot of buildings in our district. That one's gonna need extensive work, and it doesn't make sense to me to maintain it. Granted, there are storage needs. I will task our staff to figure that out without that building.
We could also throw more stuff away. I mean, teachers
Yeah.
are notorious for hanging on to stuff.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's a good quality.
So I'm happy to discuss it further. I won't say I wouldn't be swayed in another direction, but I've looked at it many times over, and it seems like
Are
the
you,
path.
I mean, what's the current policy of the county regarding demolition? Is that something you have to get a permit for?
You're supposed to, probably. I think it mostly affects if you actually want to rebuild it. You can sort of maintain your square footage.
Footprint.
If you don't have intent to rebuild, I don't think there's a big impetus, but probably that would be their preferred route.
Right.
Do we have any sense for how much it would cost to get it into a dry storage state and how much it would cost to tear it down? And
I don't
how
know
hard
any
would it,
prices.
how hard would it be to,
We got a painting estimate
Get ballpark.
about 5, 6, 7 years ago for $60,000.
just painting?
It's a
And
pretty
so-
simple roof. I
The
would
roof is-
imagine a roof
yeah.
would be 80 to 100,000 at least, somewhere in there, maybe more. It's just comp.
Depending whether they found structural.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The windows are old, I mean,
There are many leaks in that building, but most of them on the south side there. We just had to, Brown looked at the entire south side of it, and all of the siding is rotten, so that whole side has to be replaced.
We have not maintained that building since we acquired it, pretty much. You know, it's-
yeah, deferred maintenance, what they call it. I mean, we could look into some demolition quotes, but it's gonna be more affordable than maintaining it if you factor out not very many years guaranteed.
Is it possible to come back next month with an updated Phase 3, how much money we have, once the solar project is done, which we should have pretty good visibility on now, and now that we have the grant funds from the state?
Yeah.
And most of Phase 2 is now wrapped up.
Yep.
I used to ask what's his name that every month, but I don't get to anymore. Don, thank you. I'm terrible with names. So now I'll ask you, Jason. You'll be my new Don.
So you don't have any further update in terms of our timeline for the water project?
No, but so you got the communication I sent about the funding, so that's
Right.
been solved. But our inspector did recently give me a little bit of an update. And he said that things are moving along really well since we've had such a good spell of weather. But he said all work has thus far moved along at an excellent pace considering the time of year. So there could be, if we don't meet that deadline, though, we do have we're not, the deadline isn't so strict now
Right,
because of what
right.
Matt told us. So I think still by May.
Okay, by May,
I mean, I'm thinking, so
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
heard anything different. So.
okay. And you wanted further direction on, the maintenance position?
The construction.
Construction position?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've been formally giving that to you before to continue it, but Do you want to vote for us?
I don't think I need a vote, you can just give me direction.
Is there any,
I think we're getting great.
I mean, I think it's a money saver, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it for that. We'll go to community comment. I know that Nicole is here.
So I'm Nicole Glenser, the Mendocino County Superintendent of Schools, and January was Board Member Appreciation Month, and I couldn't get out here. So I wanted to bring you some gifts from Mendocino County Office of Education. We have a resolution that our board and I adopted, which I'll leave for the record, acknowledging January as Board Member Appreciation Month. We really appreciate the work that you do. You often get blamed for things that you have no control over, and too often don't get credit for the things that you do really well. So thank you for the work that you do. Nobody really understands how much time it takes to be an informed board, and this is an informed board. So thank you for the time that you take to not just be a board member, but to be a good board member. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else who's here? Go up and introduce yourself.
I'm Megan Miller. I'm one of the teachers at the high school. I'm the resource teacher, the only special ed teacher on campus. And I just had a couple things to say. Last school year, I came to the board with an appeal for change based on my experiences as a special educator in this district after the district decided to cut one of the special education teacher positions at the high school. And those of you that were here might remember that it was an emotional appeal and spoke to the extra stress on more than just myself that was created by that decision. Today I have a more practical thing I want to talk about. I want to let you know about, or just bring to your attention, some new California legislation that was signed by the governor in October. California Assembly Bill 560 legislates new mandates for special education, resource specialists, and special classes. It amends section 56362 and adds section 56364.3 to the California Education Code and stipulates that on or before July 1st, 2027, the state superintendent shall recommend a maximum adult to pupil staffing ratio for special classes authorized pursuant to section 56364.2 for pupils 3 to 22 years of age inclusive, and post the recommendation on the department's internet website. The law also includes specific language in relation to speech and language specialists' caseload and other specialists who provide direct services. So although as a part of my job as a special educator, I deal with ed code and law all the time, when I read through this legislation, it's not straightforward. It's confusing, and I have more questions coming out of it than answers. So I mainly work based on recommendations from our legal team and from various professional organizations. So I looked at the LegInfo website, which is a part of california.gov, and it says that today's law as amended for AB 560 includes these guidelines for class size. It says that commencing on July 1st, 2026, special classes pursuant to this section shall comply with the following pupil to credentialed teacher class size ratios. For special classes, I'm taking little pieces of it out that are relevant to me. 5 years to 22 years of age inclusive. Classes with autism, 6 to 1, moderate to severe, 8 to 1, mild moderate, 10 to 1, blended, 12 to 1, and emotionally disturbed, 6 to 1. So there are federal guidelines, but which are like 28 for resource caseload and 12 for like special day class caseload, but they were never like broken out in the federal government. And a lot of the larger districts in California have more specific guidelines like this, but it's never been a part of California law before. Or federal law, actually, because California law just right now kind of defaults to the federal law. So additionally, I looked at the Legiscan website under their Legislative Council Digest, and it says that the new amendments will prohibit a resource specialist from having a caseload that exceeds 20 pupils, including initial assessments. But I couldn't find that specifically in the legislation, as you know, on the CDE website. So it says it on that website, but I'm not sure how that works out. Anyway, the California Teacher Association website recommends that resource specialists have a maximum caseload of 20 students as well, and that teachers with blended caseloads, which would include students with autism, like severe autism, emotional disturbance, and other low incidence or moderate to severe disabilities, have a maximum caseload of 12. So I realize that the CTA recommendations are probably optimistic, but they're based on best practices. And I imagine that once we get the state guidelines from the state superintendent, they will probably fall somewhere in the middle. I currently have a blended caseload of 26. Josh has 20 and Seneca has 10. So I encourage the board to look into the new legislation and get advice from legal as to what this will mean in the next few years. I believe that it will mean the district will need to plan to add back in a special educator by 2027, which is when the actual legislation says it takes hold, although there was that thing about 2026 that came up on one of the other websites. Even if it doesn't mean that you're required to hire a new another special educator back in, I encourage the board to consider adding personnel that can give our most vulnerable students and the staff that support them the support that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.
Is there anybody else either here or online? None. Okay, we'll go on to 8.2, which is continue our discussion about the Greenwood Preschool and the options for 26-27.
Sure. So this is a part of the backup material. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen, just so people in the audience can see what we're looking at.
Bless you.
All right. I don't know if you can make that bigger. Do I have to make it bigger? Well, anyway, maybe you
This
can
actually
see it.
wasn't in the backup material.
Yeah, I don't think
There was
it's not backup
there's no
material
item
for it.
8.2 on the website.
I was going to say, I didn't notice it, so.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Well, then I definitely need to make this bigger so you can see it. All right, let me see if I can figure that out. So I don't know if you can see that. Is that, is that
Before
better?
you had it bigger, if you make it.
That's bigger,
No, you had it bigger, even bigger.
but it was almost.
That's good.
How's that?
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let me see if I can explain this. I really apologize. I guess I didn't get that to Aaron. Bummer. All right. So what you are currently looking at is 26-27 projections for 4 students. So if we had a half-day program, the total expenditures would be roughly $122,000, $121,917. And the revenue we would have would be $34,000, so there would be an impact of $87,000 on the general fund. That is with a half-day program for students. For a full-day program with 4 students, you're looking at a cost of $209,000. Mainly, the increase of that is in staffing, and then the impact on the general fund would be $157,000. So that is where we are today with 4 students, but with those same 4 students next year. So how that is calculated, I don't know if you wanted me to get in the weeds here, but the revenue is calculated at $41 for a half day, $41 per day, or per student for 180 days. For a full day, we would go up to $65 a day for 180 days. And then there's this thing called cost of care, and that's roughly $1,200 to $1,400. a year per student. I have no idea how that's calculated and what that means, but that is included in our reimbursement from the county
So that's in addition to the,
yeah. So the total revenue per student per year for a half day is $8,649, and for a full day is $13,110. So here then at the bottom of the screen is, or here at the bottom of this document is the number of students enrolled. So if we had 4 students for a full day program, it would be 157,000. This is the same numbers that we saw above compared to 69,000. It's $69,000 more. For 5 students, we're looking at $56,000 more. For 6 students, $43,000, and you can see that when we get to about 9 students, we're break even for the program for a full day. I talked to Kristen at the county. She said that we do have the ability to, she thinks that we do have the ability to say yes to a full day program and then pull it back by a certain date if we don't have a number of students, the number of students that we would like to see enrolled. And she does think that the county would be able to give us more state preschool slots. Right now we have 5, and most families do qualify for state preschool, but at the very bottom you'll see there is a private pay rate, and that's $55 per day per student. That's $9,900. So the main thing I want you to see is really this bottom is the impact for a full day. Now Jessica, has said to us last month that she thinks that if we stayed at a half day next year, she wouldn't have any students, that they would all be moving on, and that the full day is very important to them. But you can see that if we go to a full day, it would impact the budget by about $70,000 if we went to a full day. So I don't know if this makes sense, if anybody has any questions. Can I clarify anything? I tried my best to really give you accurate numbers here. Meg and I even made some, assumptions for food and operating expenses and services. So this is also based on full attendance too, because you don't get, if students aren't attending, you don't get all that money either.
right, you could have 10 enrollees and have an average attendance of 8 and still be within our
Yeah,
staff ratios.
yeah. I think so.
Yeah,
It's 1 to 10, she said. Yeah.
right. But I mean,
We have 2 people out there though, so I think if we don't have 2-year-olds, we can have,
right.
we'll be fine.
I mean, I think that our student population has varied in the, 6 years we've run the program?
We've been running it for about, 11.
11 years. And the current enrollment of 4 is the lowest we've ever had.
That's about right. I went out there the other day and there were 2 kids there. So on any given day, there's probably between 1 and 4 kids there.
What's the highest we've ever had?
I think enrolled, the highest we've had was maybe 9. I don't think we ever got to 10. And on any given day, it was about 5 to 6.
The 2 things occur to me. I mean, one certainly, is that I'm not in favor of, doubling or whatever the cost to the general fund. At the same time, I think that, as far as I know, there's only one other full-day program in the county. It's something that people talk about needing, but no one's ever put the program up and really advertised it, said this is available. And so there's a part of me that would really like to go ahead and spend the next 3 months saying, this is the program we have, but we need to know by June 1st or whatever date you decide is the appropriate date, and see if that that changes, your expectations. Because I think if we could have a full program, that's great for the kids and it's great for our district. This is the most crucial time to reach kids, period, and especially kids who aren't the beneficiaries of upper middle class home environments. And anything we can do to have that happen is going to pay dividends in our district or whatever district these kids matriculate to throughout their school careers. We look at the woeful numbers of third graders reading statewide, nationwide. And, a large part of it is because too many of our youngsters are not encouraged young enough. So, that's my feeling, but I'm only one person. Mark?
I strongly support doing it if we could get the enrollment. I do not support doing it if we can't pay for it.
Yeah.
And I frankly, I really would rather close the senior year of high school than not have preschool. I think it's more important. And I know it was more important in my life to have a lot of attention my first 5 years of life. And I think it's true for every kid. It provides more for their future than any other years of school. But we can't pay for what we can't pay for.
Emily?
I think my concerns about it are the ones I've voiced before about this preschool, which is it's not really what we do. We're a TK through 12 school district, first of all. It's in a tiny community that might not support more than 3 or 4 or 5 students, and some of whom might not ever come to our school district because they might be from Point Arena or Manchester. So, mission creep is real, and I want to be careful of that. If we really care about this, maybe we should launch a state-run preschool here in Mendocino or somewhere more central that all of our district students could come to. That being said, it's already there and it's already going. I don't think I would support a full day unless we have at least 8 students, and so we're close to breaking even. So I would be comfortable with advertising a full day preschool if we can get guarantees of commitment from 8 students, so that we're not, like I said before, throwing a lot more money at something that I already think we're maybe unwisely spending money on.
I concur both with the sentiment of doing it if we can get the numbers, the importance of the early childhood education, but also Emily's point about the location. So if in fact we can advertise and see if they're there, I'm in support of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everyone so far that advertise about the program full day and see if we can get at least 8 people, 8 enrollments, and see if we can keep it going.
So is that enough direction for you?
Sure. By June 1st, because I think we should be making decisions by,
Before we make a budget?
yeah, and then we shouldn't be leaving those employees in the lurch.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So we'll go on to the next item. Let's see. 8.3 is the 200-unit diploma pathway. Tobin, are you going to explain this to us?
Sure. I think and Megan here is knowledgeable about this too, so she can jump in if she has anything. I think the best way to explain this is the state requirement is 130 units. That's like the basic for graduating. To walk across our stage is 265 units. So there are other sort of levels. For example, you might be familiar with, like, for foster students, they can graduate with 130. there's the new the students who are eligible for the California Alternate Assessment pathway, which is also 130 units. Our continuation school and independent study programs were always 200 units. And they had like specific things spelled out that were very particular to both the people that ran those programs historically and what those programs look like. And so neither of those pathways kind of meet those students I was talking to you about earlier, who you might have to shift onto IS because they have severe anxiety and they just can't make it to school, or illness, or whatever the reasons may be, a last chance to try to keep our graduation rates close to 100%. So we'd like to keep a 200 unit option available, but we wanted to make it make sense for, our current kind of situation. So that's what it reflects in terms of the breakdown of the units, while also, of course, meeting the state minimums and certain things. Usually we have students, we'll usually make it through at least a freshman year. So some of the things that we would expect students to have, sometimes we have students that transfer here senior year. We have a student two students actually, because one transferred mid-year. So there's just no way they can make a 265. But we can put them on a 200 and get them a diploma.
So the headline of this thing that was in the handout limits this program to students with significant cognitive disabilities.
That's a different one. That's not the 200.
Okay, that's not the.
If that's on there, I'm not sure what that's attached
Okay,
to.
so
Yeah.
that was the handout for this agenda item. So you're saying.
Well, there should have been one that just listed the units for the 200 unit. So if that's one, that is the backup information for the, and I think only the 200 unit one actually made it on the agenda. I think probably best practices, like according to school legal, is to adopt both the 130 for foster and the 130 for students with significant disabilities. Like, I don't know if that can happen at this meeting, but it probably should happen, even though it's like state law. But the one that is like the 200 unit one is not related to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think
this
we might
is
need to push
just
this to
a
another
revision
meeting.
of our 200 unit pathway. Yeah, which would be normally would have been associated like with the continuation or IS program. And I don't know what if we don't technically have a continuation school or an IS program, it's possible we're not even allowed to have a 200 unit diploma, but the district sets, at some point this board set a 265 unit, diploma.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that.
Right.
Yeah.
Who came up with the 200 unit number?
That's just historically what our continuation program and our independent study program were 200. So we just wanted to that's what we know and kind of keep it at that. And that's what that allows us to feel like, because it's equivalent to a high school diploma. Our one stipulation for those is that those students do not cross the stage with the main high school graduation, which wouldn't necessarily be the case with like that alternative pathway one, or a foster one. But so yeah, that it could have been different, but that's kind of what we're used to operating in. Basically, there's like 3 years of English instead of 4.
Right.
We should probably push this to another month, because this is what we were sent, unless something was sent separately.
Oh, you don't actually have the 200 unit
No.
pathway?
We only got the alternative pathway.
Well,
for
and I
kids
think
with
I'd
cognitive
like to see
disabilities.
all our different pathways on in one document, so we're
Yeah.
seeing how that fits into the thing. And
Yeah, and I think you guys should probably approve the 130s as well, even
I
though
mean,
it's like
if
state.
that's something we're using, we should definitely approve it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just because they're like state law or state ed code, I think you still need to approve it. It's just those are different from the local ones where, some schools might have 240 or, I have no idea, all sorts of different numbers, I guess. But those ones are like ed code, so.
Well, and
I think I sent you an email with the revised 201, and then I think there were links to the other one. So I wonder if they got the first one that I pulled back and said we weren't ready for that yet. I don't know.
Do these different numbers have different meanings when you're 25? If you're applying for a job?
Right, no, they don't.
They don't?
They're all, they all will be high school diplomas. The only meaning is whether you got to, like, so for example, for independent study, a lot of times those students never had like a graduation ceremony. Sunrise, it used to be like a little breakfast thing, but by the end we were actually doing like a Wednesday full on, with just those 4 students or whatever, little ceremony with the caps and gowns and everything, but it's all just been separate. So like this year we'll have a student graduating on the 200 unit, and we'll see if he wants whatever he wants, we'll do it for him. But usually those are kids that just want to get their diploma and go out and do their thing. So, yeah, not much then to talk about if we don't have that's the one, 200 unit pathway right there. So I don't, yep. So it's very similar to the state men's, and then we add in like more electives and like a life choices, which is college and career education. We have different ways of delivering that to students and getting that to students. But all the histories and civics and math and stuff are all the state men's. Ethnic studies will be for class of 2030. And then, some of the electives, if a student's working, we'll give them credit for work as well.
So the difference between that and our standard requirements are 1 year of English, 2 more years of math and science.
Depends if you're talking A through G or just our graduation, yeah. Like we take out, for one thing, it's a responsible citizenship. So a lot of times students like with, say, high anxiety or students that are like, school is getting in the way of their education kind of kid, they're not necessarily going to have the ways and the means to, say, like go volunteer in the community or something. They might not even have any support at home, let alone to pull something like that off. So like some of those things are taken out, which is where the 65 units kind of add up to. A year of English, all that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So right now, I think there's 2 265 pathways, because there's a separate one for
The community school has one also.
And there's
Yeah.
the 200 pathways that are just still kind of on the books in Aries,
Yeah.
which were for the independent study and for Sunrise. So there's 4 different pathways right now in addition to the state minimum law for the alternative pathway and the foster and homeless youth pathway. So it might be good if it's not too much overwhelmed to have all those kind of side by side. So
Yeah, if you want to see like how they compare historically. Yeah, and we have to keep them all in there at least for a certain amount of time because I think we still have, I don't know if we have any, yes, we would still potentially have students who were not part of the continuation, but who were on independent study. So
We still have the flexibility for independent study. It's just supervised by the individual teachers, right?
Technically, I am the teacher of record.
You're the teacher.
Now for independent study.
Okay.
Yeah. Annie Inez, I have to give her a lot of credit for really being the glue that holds that together. Because like I said earlier, we don't have the program.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should bring this back next month and
Okay.
see all that side by side.
Yeah, we would like to use this year, so.
Oh,
you
definitely,
know, yeah,
definitely.
We can,
Definitely.
yeah, get it
And,
squared
and
away.
if you think that we should make adjustments in what we're currently doing, you should say that.
I don't, well, I guess there's one student that this could apply to that's gonna finish up in like a matter of weeks. But we
But
could.
anyway, we'll look forward to,
Yeah, it just still has sort of some strange residual, kind of vestigial units that don't really make sense anymore. I mean, not many, but
and do we also offer a certificate of completion?
that is not this, like, that's not the same level. Like,
No, I know.
the state sees that as a,
Do we
I
offer?
mean, we're hoping to be able to switch over to the alternate
Right.
pathway
I mean,
diploma.
that's what it says here, that this is, you know, an improvement over the certificate of completion, but I just wanted to.
I'm not sure what you guys are looking at.
It's that sheet that was about the alternative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I'd have to see, kind of see what you're looking at. Yeah, yeah, that's just like, that's like an info sheet from like some state agency.
Is
Yeah.
based on IEP goals. It's not a diploma and it's
Yeah.
considered a dropout.
Yeah.
It's considered a dropout
Yeah,
for
that
state
is not,
purposes.
whereas all these other diplomas,
Right.
to
Like
answer that
considered-
earlier question,
Right.
will look like all these, like
Yeah.
a high school diploma, no difference.
Right.
That is not.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so, yeah, it replaces that, sort of, because there's certain boxes you have to check to be eligible for that.
Yeah.
Which we're dialing in and learning about, yeah. All right, so I will give you high school, community high school, old continuation, old independent study, and then you'll have
Proposed.
the one you're supposed to have, and I can also give you both the Foster and the commonly called alternative pathway, but it's the California alternate assessment eligible graduation pathway,
Right,
something,
right.
I have no idea what the state's gonna end up calling it, which are both the 130 and are the same
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should see them all together.
Yeah. Yep, all right,
Thanks.
will do.
Okay, so now we're up to 8.4, which is our mid-year update on our LCAP.
Okay. So, we don't have too many changes in the LCAP from what you saw in June. There are a couple of data points that we did have new, information on, but.
You want to make that a little larger? I'll fill the screen with it, maybe.
Let's see. Okay. It's about as big as it's gonna get to fit on one screen here, so. You can see nothing has changed with this metric from what you saw in June for the EL supports. For goal 2, it's supporting our socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And again, we had the data. Well, I guess the ELA scores and the math scores are updated. We didn't have those in June, obviously. So we went up by 3 percentage points in English language arts and up 5 percentage points for our low-income students.
And then Meg has filled in the mid-year expenditures for each one. I'm not gonna, I mean, this was in your backup, I hope, so I'm not gonna go through it line item by line item, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer questions.
It was in the backup, and I don't have any questions myself.
Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna start scheduling the, we're not supposed to say stakeholder anymore, educational partner meetings in the next month or so. So I'll have a community parent meeting, and I'll have to meet with staff members, and then we'll have to have something that I think I have not done a good job on is engaging students. So I'd like to engage a group of students, probably at the high school here and maybe at the middle school, but most likely at the high school. So we'll work on that. And then next year is the year where we write an entirely new LCAP. 3-year. I think this needs approval.
Any questions before we vote on approving?
I'll move to approve the LCAP mid-year update.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Aaron, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Morton?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Yes.
Trustee Ong?
Yes.
Trustee Boyd?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Yes.
Can I go back an item or two? This, Meg got a hold of me here and said that in order to build the budget, she would most likely want to know about the preschool between, by the beginning of May, second week of May. We could adjust it if we want. I don't know if that's too early for you, but it's just something that she said. And if you want to
Well, we
consider,
can aim for that time.
aim for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that I still wouldn't,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. If we can, a budget's a budget. It's very fluid.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty small item on the budget.
Yeah.
As much as I can play.
Okay, 8.5 is consideration as the first reading of Board Policy Administrative Regulation 3311 bids. What changes are here? Is it just the statutory increase of?
well, as directed, Emily provided us some language to put in here. So that's what's different.
Yeah, as you may recall from last month,
Yes.
their proposal was to put in just this year's, and we said no. We agreed that no, it should tell you how to find every year's one every year. So I tried to draft language to point a new business manager
And
to the
you're
exact
happy
place
with
to
the
find it.
language you drafted?
Well, I'm happy with it. It's perfect.
I think anything that reduces our necessity of revising it every year, just to say that this state has increased the limit, makes sense to me. So is there any objection to approving it for our first reading? Or no, I guess we should have a vote for,
Yeah, this needs a vote.
this is a vote. So Aaron, could you please call the roll on the motion to approve the first reading?
I don't
I think we
ever
need a
had
motion, right?
I don't think there was a motion. Was there? Or did I miss
No,
it?
there probably
No.
wasn't.
No.
I'll move to approve the first
Move to
reading
approve.
of, whichever one this is,
Second.
3311.
3311, thank you.
Trustee Morton?
Yes.
Trustee Griffin?
Yes.
Trustee Ong?
Yes.
Trustee Boyd?
Yes.
Trustee Schaefer?
Yes. Okay, that concludes our agenda items for open session. Future agenda items are administrative contracts, second interim budget report, deferred maintenance plan, the MAD engineers report, our transportation plan. Anything else people want to make sure we're considering for future meetings? We have our
The Phase 3 budget, which I mentioned, and Jason took note of.
We have our workshop with the high school staff before our next meeting.
What's the time of that?
It'll be.
1 o'clock on the
Toby, what
11th?
time would we start that meeting? 1:30?
We could start it probably a little before, would probably be better, like 1:10, 1:15.
Okay.
1:15.
Thank you.
Is that going to be in this room?
I guess it depends if you like the format you did up at the KA, or if you want a, different format. Most likely, let's see, how many, probably the library, I would think.
Okay, the library.
More conducive,
Yeah, that's fine.
To either format.
Mhm.
Whether we just do like an open forum, or we do individual kind of tables, we do the rotation. So, do you have a preference on?
I thought that Kim's format worked very well. We got to be, I think, probably more individualized meeting with each teacher than we would have if it had been in a larger format. But it's up to you.
Yeah, okay. Let me ask staff kind of what they want to get out of it, if they want that, or if they're curious what other people are saying. And
Right.
asking her, so.
Okay,
That's Wednesday, March 11th.
Yeah.
we're going to go back into closed session.
Say 1:15.
Can you sign this?
Sure.
Recording stopped.